Recording in progress.
All right, everybody, we'll get this show on the road here. The time's 1:30 p.m. and I call the June 11th, 2025 meeting of the Area Board of Zoning Appeals to order. Currently, we have 6 members of a 7-member board. If you feel your petition needs to be heard by the full board, please let the staff members know immediately, and we will table your petition until the next meeting when we have more board members present. We will first ask for public comment from those sitting in the chambers and then on the members attending remotely. If a member of the public attending remotely wishes to participate in the public comment portion of the meeting, they should indicate this by using the raise hand function in Zoom and/or by messaging the host in the chat function. Please clearly state your name and address for the record. Board members, please state your name when making a motion in a second. Lastly, please silence your cell phones. Roll call, please.
Mr. Tavernier?
Here.
Mr. Byers?
Here.
Dr. Lauk?
Here.
Mr. Velman? Mr. Ritzma?
Here.
Mr. Roush?
Here.
Mr. Schaefer?
Here.
6 members present.
Rock and roll.
Petition number 1, location 56049 Waynewood Drive, as tabled. Owner Christian and Lena Nabalski. Requested action, variance number 1 from section 154.107, sub C2, to allow a side north yard setback of 5.5 feet, where a minimum of 8 feet is required for proposed shed. Zoning R single family district, county.
This is Sean Klein, APC Director. As most of you will recall, this was on the agenda last month, but the board was unable to come up with the 4 votes to pass either of the motions, so subsequently it was tabled to this month's agenda. The petitioner is seeking a side yard setback from the front property line from the 8 feet that's required to allow a 5.5 foot setback for a 120 square foot proposed shed. There's the property is viewed from the street. That's roughly the area where the shed is proposed there, between the house and the fence. And then the site plan showing that 5.5 foot setback from the north property line. Staff recommends denial of the variance only as it did not appear to us prior to the hearing that there was really any practical difficulty such that the petitioner could not position the shed elsewhere on the property and meet that 8 foot side setback. It does look like it could be placed in either in the backyard or potentially closer to the house. Turning to the 3 state law criteria, we do not believe that the approval would be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. It's really just a side yard setback reduction, so it doesn't really have any broader impact on the community, such that would be the case. Likewise, we don't feel that the side setback variance would affect the use and value of the adjacent area. We have observed that there are other accessory structures of similar sizes not meeting side and rear setbacks. Additionally, it is a modest size of only 120 square feet, so it's not likely to really impact neighboring properties in a substantial way. Finally, as I mentioned, we really didn't see the practical difficulty that justified having the shed at that particular spot not meeting that 8 foot side setback. Beyond that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
That might be Mason.
Any questions?
We did receive, as I stated last time, we received 1 email and remonstrance from a neighbor stating that this would detract from the appearance of the property and the neighborhood.
Sean, was any more practical difficulty clarified by the petitioner since last month to you all?
Not to us, no.
No.
Any more questions? No? Petitioner? Yep, name and address, and you got 10 minutes.
I wasn't here last time, so.
That's all right. You're fine.
Hi, I'm Lena Nabalski. I am the property owner, along with my son. I have some photos of tons of sheds in our neighborhood that are either right on the property line or like within inches of the property line. I also took a photo of the front of our house that would show where we want to put the shed. The vehicles in the driveway, when you're driving from the front of the house, you wouldn't even be able to see the shed at all. Plus, there's trees in front and like it's a big bush. It's a flowering bush. I can't remember what kind it is at the moment. But I guess the suggestion last time was that we put it on the opposite side, but that's where our septic is. So we cannot put anything over there. And this isn't like a permanent type structure. It's not gonna have a concrete footing. It's gonna be a wood bottomed shed. That way, if we move, we can take our shed with us. We're only asking for 30 inches. That's it.
Anything else to add?
Hi, I'm Eugene Nabalski, Lena's husband. And I was here last week, and I appreciate you guys, hearing us out. If you look at the adjoining property, and whoever the individual says that this is gonna be some type of eyesore, I don't know if you can see their property from the street or not, but I don't know. They got, a RV there that's probably across our property line. There's a, what do you call that, a carport right there that appears to be maybe like right on the property line. And I understand that that carport could possibly be moved. But even if, when you go over to the overheads, I was showing some overheads. If you look at, and that one maybe might not be big enough, but I think that you might be able to capture the shed. I don't think you can capture the shed across the street. But the only thing I'm trying to drive at is that we're not asking for an arm and a leg. We're just asking for about an arm. I mean, you're talking 2.5 foot. I mean, and just the appearance wise, and that's why we want to do that, is the fence is there, then we have arborvitae there, and we don't want to take that shed another 2.5 foot away from that arborvitae. We want to put it a little bit closer and keep that path open there, a little bit wider there, because down the road, I'm push mowing the grass, but I'd like to get a rider and have a little bit of maneuverability there. But I just can't see with, somebody's, saying something about eyesore, this and that. I mean, I know you can't see it from the street view, or if you can, if you pull up a map, if you look at the property next door, property across the street, we've drove this neighborhood, and I drove it pretty intensely. I probably got 30 or 40 pictures on my phone. My son's got pictures on his phone. I know some of these sheds are grandfathered in, but I've got pictures of my wife. I don't know if you guys want to look at them. We got pictures of the sheds that are brand new.
All right, so let me stop you, sorry.
Okay,
First and foremost, we're not here for anybody else's property other than yours, right?
okay.
If you want to file a complaint against all of those other
No,
sheds,
no,
these are
absolutely
the
not.
people that you could feel free to talk to.
Okay,
If we're not going to stay on task with we're not trying to
Okay,
compare
okay,
your
okay.
petition to anybody else's shed because they're not here.
okay.
Right.
And that's fine and dandy, and I'm not here to file any complaints. I'm
So,
fine with what they have. So, like I said, that's all we're asking for is an arm, not an arm and a leg. We're talking
30 inches.
30 inches.
so can I answer a couple of your comments that you had made?
Sure.
You want to get a riding mower, right? So 5 feet is perfect for riding your mower behind it. 8 feet's even better, right?
Well,
So hold on one second.
Sure.
So 8 feet's even better, right? There's 3 state law criteria that we have to pay attention to when a petition is before us, right? And we've asked about practical difficulty multiple times, And practical difficulty is one of those that if we just can't find it, and you can't prove to us that there is no practical difficulty, if we just approve the petition, we're setting a precedence for now all of your neighbors that want to come in and make their sheds within legal, or make them legal, right? So we can't just say that it's just 2.5 feet. The ordinance is the ordinance, and it's there for a reason. And our setbacks are there because that's what they were deemed that they needed to be. So it's not just something where we can just easily go, it's just 2.5 feet, right? There has to be reasons.
Can I comment?
I'm sorry?
Could I comment?
I would love comments.
Perfect, thank you. With where we are planning on putting the shed, you can see the bump out of the house. I'm really terrible with north, south, east, and west, so I can't even go there. But there's a walkway there along with our air conditioning unit. And if we would move it 8 foot away, that literally puts the shed maybe 2 foot away from the edge of the house, leaving like no maintenance area there, because I also have flowers, because I like a lot of flowers. But it's like really cramping that area, that if we would ever have to have a new air conditioner unit put in or anything, they're gonna have to like drive through the whole other yard all the way back around, because it would narrow that gap so tiny to be able to access it with like larger equipment. We just had a tree pulled out in the back, so I'm very familiar with that side. We had 2 trees taken out.
Okay, but you told us that the shed's gonna be movable, right? And I'm a new home builder, and I have AC units installed all the time, and they either carry them or they take them back on a cart. I never have a contractor drive in the back to install an AC unit, right? I want you to understand that we're hearing you. We get it, right? And I appreciate your comments. I don't understand why you just don't take it and you put it up against the landscaping, or move it sideways and bring it up closer to the house and basically face the other shed and go door to door, just in your, there's not a good picture. I don't know how to explain this the way that I want it. But
Oh, I
in the
think I know
area
what you
that you're
mean.
wanting to put it, just bring it over and spin it and have the door facing the back, and then you wouldn't even be here.
You mean, all right, so as this drawing is right here, you're talking where it says new shed?
Yeah, bring it closer to the house and spin it, and then either your door can face your neighbor's house or your door can face the backyard toward the shed.
But spinning it would make the aisle even less, because
It would ma-
it's
10
longer
foot.
than it is.
I understand, so spin it sideways, basically just flip it and bring it up against the house, and your issue is solved.
It would
It's
look
still
a
in the
lot
same.
worse
la-
being
last
against the
month,
house.
Last month, the conversation is that we wanted it right here next to the house in the spot where it is, because it's easily accessible, and he wanted to be able to get to it, and
Sure.
you're getting older and stuff like that, right? If I
Correct.
remember
We
correctly.
all are.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, and I think the
And I
point, if I could just, I don't want mean to interrupt you. I think the point that she's trying to make is the shed, and let me point it out here, made it be easier. But is, if we would take this shed and spin it, it's 10 foot this way, and if we spin it, then that's another additional 2 foot.
It's
going-
longer than
going
it is
towards the house,
wide.
Which is gonna even make that.
That's what he was
gap
saying,
less.
bring it clear over to the house then, but just
But
a
then that
suggestion.
blocks the walkway that we
Just-
have to the backyard.
Just a suggestion.
Yep,
How did this come up?
because
again,
there is a
Sean?
concrete walkway there.
Okay.
how did what?
How did this come up again?
Because we couldn't agree on it last month.
How did it end up here last month?
3-3.
No.
They
What-
just applied for the variance.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Permit
Yeah.
triggered it, okay.
Yeah.
and we just feel that, you know, if it's movable, we don't feel it's gonna be an eyesore. We don't feel that the appearance-wise, is really hurting anybody. I don't believe that we're hurting anybody in any way, shape, or form. Aesthetically, it's just gonna look better than to take it, you know, to have a 4-foot gap between the arborvitae and the thing, so. You know, we're done, and
Yep.
that's all we got, unless, I don't know if my son's on virtually, if he's got anything to add, or,
We'll get there here in a second.
okay. But
Could you-
that's-
Sorry, just one other question then. Could you scoot it back?
What do you mean, scoot it back, sir?
Back towards the
Closer
other
toward the other
shed?
shed.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
just somewhere in the backyard and position it so it would not trigger the variance. And that's what Sean was trying to say, that
That-
there's other locations where it seems
Yeah.
it could work.
It could
And-
go back a little bit, but we can't push it back real far because there's a big giant tree back there too.
Yeah, there's a big giant tree, and then
And I
we
mean,
just
it's
had a
big.
tree taken out.
Too.
Or 2 trees taken out, and that would be, to try to put it back here, there's a tree, big tree here, we just had a big tree taken out here. And it's my understanding that the shed's gotta be 15 foot away from the well, and we felt that this was, to put it on that side would be the best place to put it.
Because on one side we have the well, on the other side we have the septic. So
So-
Can
we're
you,
kind
oh,
of,
sorry.
Go ahead, Sean.
Could you point out the well?
I was just gonna ask that.
Yep, absolutely. Let's throw the house up, maybe I can.
Oh,
show
yeah.
it
Please.
there. Please. Yep,
Aerial?
look
Oh,
at that.
this, okay,
Next picture, next picture, next picture.
other way,
there we go.
Okay, right there,
okay.
all right. This isn't where the shed's going, where that orange tarp is. This is not where the shed's going. This here is the cover for the well. That shed is gonna be 15 foot back away from this little, it's a pot holder for one of our plants. But that's gonna be 15 foot at minimum away back from there. And then you can see this other tree back here coming down. And it's gonna, this is just storage here. And I put it up here because this is all a flower bed here. But it's gonna be 15 foot back this way. And if I take it back any further, for me to get the corners in and have them up like on the little cement blocks or footers or whatever you wanna call it, I'm gonna have difficulty getting that level, because that's really on a rise there where that tree was. You know, because they ground that stump out, but, I mean,
It's still rough.
it is still there, but that is the most level place and unforgiving place to put that.
So the spot that you're wanting to put it in is far enough away from the well
Correct.
to meet code,
Yes.
right?
Correct.
And you would have to do extra yard work and so on and so forth to get it put in a different spot that is level
Correct.
and not compete with tree roots and so on and so
yeah.
forth and all of that.
And those trees are huge.
So this is the most level spot for you to put it at.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Question while you're there. Where's the AC unit?
Case closed.
It's gonna be, oh, well, you can
On that
kind of
picture.
see it.
You can kind of
You
see
can
it.
kind of, it looks like a shadow.
It's just on the
Yep.
other side of this wheelbarrow.
And it's approximately what, 4 or 5 foot away from the house?
No. No, it's literally like this far from our house.
Yeah, but the AC unit's like
Yeah.
3 foot.
Yep, absolutely,
And then you got a foot from the house, that's 4 foot.
right. Yeah, we looked at it 100 different ways.
We're good. Appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right.
And I apologize to
Nope,
everybody behind us.
Nope, you're good. We're good. You got anything else to add?
I do not, sir.
Okay. You guys have any more questions?
No, sir.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
All
thank you
right.
for bearing with me. I should have another cup of
We are here
coffee.
for you,
Thank you so much.
okay? So unfortunately, the guy or the person that has their hand raised, but as far as opening it back up to the public, since this was tabled, it's up to the chair's discretion on whether or not we open it back up to the public. I don't think there's a need for that, so we're not going to open this back up to public discussion. And, sorry, what did I say wrong?
No, I just wanted to
Just
say,
everything.
that is what I advised the chair. The public hearing was actually held at the last meeting. It was not tabled beforehand. So the public hearing has occurred on this one.
Oh, like it's a non-issue, like it's over.
Yes,
because
we've
of
already
that.
heard it.
The public hearing has occurred,
Yeah.
and once that's happened,
So-
it's up to the discretion of the chair whether to open it back up again if
You
it
guys
had
don't
get
have to
tabled.
stand there anymore.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, all right.
yeah,
perfect.
You're good, thank you. Okay, with that being said, we're not opening the public comment back up, so I'll take a motion, or unless you guys got anything else.
Based on the practical difficulties shared by the petitioner, I would make a recommendation to approve the variance.
Julie Lauk, second.
We have a first and a second. Mr. Byers?
Yes.
Mr. Roush?
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer?
Yes.
Mr. Ritzma?
Yes.
Dr. Lauk?
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier?
Yes, based on the testimony presented here today, after careful consideration, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals grants your variance and will issue written findings of the facts. Have a great day.
Petition number 2, location.
You can leave. Yep, thank you. You're
That's
good.
okay.
Thank you.
Petition number 2, 16445 Valley Trail. Kylie Tullage Brovold and Kyle Brovold, owners, requested action, variance from section 154.107 sub C2 to allow a side south yard setback of 0 feet where 8 feet is required to rebuild a garage. Zoning R single-family district, county.
All right, Faryal Sharif, Area Plan Commission staff. This is kind of a unique situation and property. The previous home on this site was destroyed in a fire. Only the foundation of the home and the foundation of the detached garage structure survived or was salvageable, which is the structure that is in question today. So first I'll say the property lines shown on our GIS are a bit off, so it's kind of harder to tell exactly what's going on in this picture. But once they began work to rebuild the house, they realized where they previously had that open detached garage, the corner of it was actually encroaching onto the neighbor's property. They were able to get that sorted with the neighbor through an encroachment agreement, but that left the matter of rebuilding it in line with the current standards, which would have called for an 8-foot side setback. Staff advised that a 0-foot setback variance would be necessary to rebuild the garage in the same spot. So the topography on this property is very steep. It's heavily wooded. The house sits on the top of a hill. As you can see, the rebuild is in progress. They are rebuilding it just as it was. This is the driveway, again, quite steep to get up there. So previously, the garage structure was there at the top. I believe it was 2 stories. The bottom was the garage, which was really more of an open overhang, and the top did have some livable area. It was not attached to the house, and they would be rebuilding it in the same manner, not attached and with the area on top, not to go any taller than the tallest part of the house. This is the adjacent area where the corner of the garage did encroach. You can see the driveway to that adjacent property and their home through the trees. So where the truck is now, that's where they would be rebuilding it. I did want to give you kind of a better idea of what it looks like as you move toward where the structure would be rebuilt. So along the south property line, which is where it encroaches, it's covered by trees. This is going closer. And this is kind of rounding the corner, looking north. I believe the concrete steps there did survive the fire. Just beyond this fence area, if you climb the steps, that would take you closer to where their septic system had to be put. I believe a new septic had to be put in. And this is looking further down Valley Trail. The road curves further down. So this is the site plan. So the property owners, they own what's labeled as 12A. They own that portion of what's labeled as Lot 14. So their property line is the black solid line. The encroachment we're talking about here is about 2.3 feet. The site plan is how they want to rebuild. And this is a more detailed survey, which I believe more so shows the foundation that survived and also provided topography, which you probably could see from the pictures as well. The petitioner did provide us a copy of the encroachment agreement, which is in your packets. And finally, this plan was also provided by the petitioner so that you could get a good idea of where the septic system was placed. Staff is recommending approval on this one. So generally, 0-foot setbacks are undesirable, but we felt that the topography of this property, in combination with where they had to place the new septic, really leaves no space for them to move the structure. With regards to criteria 2 and 3, they're not proposing any further encroachment. It's a rebuild of what it was on existing foundation. And in looking at adjacent homes in the area, many of which are also kind of built on that hill, other structures may not be meeting an 8-foot setback exactly. It's really the property owner to the south that would be most impacted by the 0-foot setback. And they did sign that encroachment agreement, which does include a maintenance easement. In addition, they have a heavy tree line there that would visually obstruct it. We don't see that there's really any other feasible spot to build to the standard that it was at before, and for those reasons, we recommend approval. Can take any questions.
I don't have any, I've got quite a few for the builder, but. No? All right, is the petitioner present? Name and address, please, and you got 10 minutes.
John Schrock, 60218 Kenner.
Can you speak into the mic?
John Schrock, 60218 Kenner Road 35, Middlebury. MM Quality Construction representing Kyle and Kylie Brovald. The day we started tearing the garage down is the neighbor came over and asked if we realized that the foundation goes over the property line. I said, nope, nobody knew about it. The homeowners didn't know about it. We finished taking off what was there, got the survey started, and kind of got everything started. And that back corner is across the property line. So where we're at now, we rebuilt the house to how they're living in the house. I told them, I said, we'll focus on the house so they can get back in their house, and then we'll deal with the garage. We'll see what we can come up with. So basically what they want to do is rebuild on top of what's there and have a little bit of a workshop up top and make so they can park a vehicle underneath on the original foundation.
All right, you guys got anything? So, originally, there was living space above this garage?
No, there was no living space on that. I'm not quite sure where that came in. There was a workshop, little workshop up there. The building was on top. It was a little storage workshop. That's all it was. There was no living space on top.
Okay. So there was no plumbing?
No, there was electric out there, but that's it, just for a light in the top. And the only reason, there was a little bit of damage on the corner of the garage from the fire, but the roof was starting to cave in. It was in need of repair. That's why we put it in with the contract to take it down and rebuild it. Unbeknownst to us, it was across the property line.
So the foundation is existing?
The
You didn't
foundation
tear it
is
down, you didn't do anything with it?
Nope, foundation is existing. It is exactly like it was when we showed up the first day.
And it's been inspected and it's good to go?
I haven't had that inspected
Oh,
as
that's,
far
yeah,
as.
I'm sorry, you said it wasn't part of the fire.
No,
My
that
fault,
was
yeah.
not part of the fire. It's a
My
block
fault.
foundation. We want to put 2 rows on top because just to get it higher so he can park his Sprinter van underneath, so it's high enough. But
Yeah.
otherwise, it's staying exactly like it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, that was my fault, sorry. You guys got any questions?
Nope.
No? Okay. I had a lot more questions if there would have been plumbing in there, but we're good to go.
My bad.
Okay, I'm good. Everybody's good? Thank you, appreciate it. All right, we'll open this up to the public now. Is there anybody that would like to speak in favor of this petition? Please step forward. Seeing none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none. Is there anybody that would like to speak against this petition? Please step forward. Seeing none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none. Public portion is now closed. You guys got anything else, or I'll take a motion?
Dr. Lauk, I make a motion that we recommend approval of the variance with staff-imposed conditions as stated.
Lance Roush, second.
We have a first and a second. Mr. Ritzma,
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Byers,
Yes.
Dr. Lauk,
Yes.
Mr. Roush,
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier.
Yes, based on testimony presented here today, after careful consideration, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals grants your variance and will issue written findings of the facts. Thank you.
Petition number 3, location 23735 Tyler Road. Owner, Timothy and Barbara Pearson. Requested action, variance number 1, from section 154.092 sub C to allow a lot with 272 feet of frontage where a minimum of 600 feet of frontage is required for a lot in a one-lot subdivision. Variance number 2 from section 154.092 sub D to allow a 33 setback from the center line of the road where a 75 setback is required for an existing house. And variance number 3 from section 154.092 sub D to allow a 45-foot setback from the center line of the road where a 75-foot is required for an existing barn. Zoning A agricultural district, county.
All right, Far El Sharif Area Plan Commission staff. This property is in Union Township, just on the edge of the county line with Marshall County. There is an existing home on the property, some area that's currently farmed, as well as some wetlands. As far as size, it has about 55 acres and over 1,500 feet of frontage. So this lot could technically be split by right into 2 parcels. However, in this case, splitting it right down the middle or splitting it so that each of the new lots had exactly 600 feet of frontage would be difficult or otherwise impractical. Because of this, they're requesting a lot frontage variance to have a lot with 272 feet of frontage so that can be split more logically. One thing that makes it difficult to split evenly is that there is this existing house they would like to keep, and its placement on the lot is such that it's right in the middle. You'll also notice that the house is quite close to the road in comparison to other homes typical of the A district. They need a setback variance to keep the house where it is, and also a setback variance to keep this barn where it is. The barn would stay with the existing house if subdivided. The new lot would have entrance on the west side of where the existing house and other existing accessory structures are, looking west on Tyler Road. And this is directly across from the area where the new lot would go. The area is mostly agricultural. I will say, though, as you go east on Tyler, which I don't have a good picture of, you do pass LaVille High School, and there is housing developments closer to the school there. This is the site plan. They are meeting the acreage requirement. Looking at state law criteria, we find that the reduced frontage is still wide enough for sufficient access. The setback variances would apply to existing structures and homes located closer to the road and are not necessarily out of character because of the proximity to houses east of here, closer to the school. And finally, we find that it's not adding more buildable lots beyond what is already permitted by right, and the variance is only required due to the proposed layout of the split, which is generally logical and practical given where the existing home is, the farmland and the wetlands, and then the setback variances are necessary due to the subdivision requirements. We recommend approval. We did receive one letter of remonstrance. That was from a neighbor who was mainly concerned about the setback variances if the property is sold. The setback variances, if you were to approve it subject to the site plan, would probably just apply to those existing structures, though. and I can take any questions.
Probably or would?
It would if you approve it subject to the site plan.
Yeah. Questions?
So there's no variances being requested other than for existing structures?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Good? Okay. Terry?
Terry Lang from the Whiteman office. Address is 1402 Mishawaka Avenue here in South Bend. I represent the petitioners, Mr. and Mrs. Pearson. If you go back to the site plan, please. As Pharrell had indicated, these are all of the existing buildings where the old farmhouse is, the barns, and over 50 years ago, this used to be a mink farm, and there were several mink sheds, if you want to call it. There's dirt floors. There hasn't been any farming of minks at that location in over 50 years since the Pearsons have bought the property. Most of those buildings are on the ground and trees that are about this big growing up through the middle of them now. I worked with Sean and said, hey, they're showing on the map if you see them as a building, but they're literally laying on the ground, most of them are. So I work closely with the planning staff with regards to that. The Pearsons' daughter wants to build on the lot right next door. The variance that we're asking for is the frontage because of the position of all of the existing buildings out front. The interpretation now with the Planning Commission staff is, being we are asking for a variance for this lot, any of these buildings would have to have a variance also because they're pre-existing structures, and that's what Pharrell was trying to explain, was all of those other variances are for the existing buildings that are there. So that's the purpose of the BZA that we're asking for here. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Yeah, but doesn't that turn around and mean that they can cut those trees down and rebuild those buildings in that same spot?
If they come in for a permit for it, yes.
I would, go ahead.
Which buildings are you referring to, just to
The
clarify?
ones that are on the ground with the trees.
No, they're not
growing.
requesting any variances, so
No,
they.
I,
Okay.
but I'm saying if, what am I missing here then?
So are you concerned that if the existing house were tore down or the existing barn was tore down, they could rebuild it?
Yes.
If that's a concern, you could add a written commitment or a condition,
Just condition.
a condition or something stating that if the house were to be removed or tore down, that they can't rebuild it, or they must rebuild it in line with the required setback, yes.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the buildings that were
Well,
on the ground
I
too.
was
That was-
originally,
Yeah.
but then I
Yeah,
realized, and then this kicked in and triggered something else that I had
Yeah.
a question about.
And we
so-
could have that as a note on the subdivision.
If something would happen to the house, that it would have to comply with the
Yeah.
ordinance.
That's not a rule already, that if something burns down, you gotta either get a variance to put it too close or?
well,
They're
if
already
you,
here. They're
Yeah,
here for the
exactly.
variance today, if they
No, I
have.
understand.
But-
Oh, then it would, in this case, it would go with the property. then,
Yes,
wouldn't it?
exactly,
Put it
Yeah,
right
that's
back
what they're
where-
concerned about,
yeah.
is if you give them a variance now, then that's
I think
that's
that
where
would
the
be a
line
good
is now.
Condition. May I?
Sure.
Make
Terry,
it such that it's worded for the existing buildings, and if something would
Right.
happen to the house or the barn, it would have to come in compliance with the ordinance the way it exists now. And we don't have any problem with that.
Separate question, this could have been, back to the practical difficulty thing, right? This box could have been broken up a bunch of different ways, and I know you don't just willy-nilly, this was done because of something topographic, or?
Well, there's also a ditch that runs kind of down through the middle of there also.
Okay.
Topography drains
Okay.
from each direction to that,
So if she would have had more frontage on the other side of the buildings, there would have had to been a bridge and, okay.
yeah,
okay.
you're looking at multiple things there.
Wetland issues.
Well, and it's also, this area right here is the most desirable for the daughter to be able to build her home septic-wise. The best soil conditions that are there.
There you go.
Okay. Anybody else got anything?
As far as trying to limit it so that it only applies to the houses and the barns as they are now and not applying to any in the future, the best way to do that would be to put that it expires if, that the variance by its terms terminates if the barn and/or the existing buildings
Go
get
away.
destroyed in some fashion.
We're
no
not
longer
anticipating that, but you heard the petition
yeah.
before this where there was a fire and,
Right.
yeah.
Okay. Anybody? No? All right, thanks, sir. All right, we'll open this up to the public. Is there anybody who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Please step forward. Seeing none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none. Is there anybody who would like to speak against this petition? Please step forward. Seeing none. Any on Zoom? Seeing none. Public portion is now closed. You guys got any further comments, or I'll take a motion?
Working on the wording. Tom Byers, I'll make a motion to approve the variances for the structure, or variances as presented, but those pertaining to the structure become void upon
Destruction or demolition?
destruction or demolition of the structures.
Dr. Lauk, I second.
We have a first and a second. Mr. Roush,
Yes.
Mr. Ritzma,
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Byers,
Yes.
Dr. Lauk,
Yes.
Mr. Tavernier.
Yes, based on the testimony presented here today, after careful consideration, the Area Board of Zoning Appeals grants you variance and will issue variances, and will issue written findings of the facts.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We're going over Ebola.
I think we're doing findings of fact
Oh. I don't know where my thing is. Oh, here it is, findings of facts.
Donnie Ritzma, make a motion to approve the findings of the facts for the May 14th, 2025 meeting.
Dr. Lauk, second.
Everybody's here, right? Yeah.
Nobody's on Zoom.
All right, motion and a second to approve the May 14th, 2025 finding of facts. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, John?
So this next item, it's a request for a 6-month continuance of a variance that you granted back in January. It's for this property on Bulla. It's all front yards. You granted setbacks from the north and from the south to allow a 10-foot setback rather than the 35 that's required. Your bylaws do authorize you to grant this continuance. This will just allow more time for the property owner to seek their building permit. So consequently, staff does support the continuance.
So why haven't they gotten it yet? Like, what's the holdup?
They should be on Zoom.
He's here.
He's right behind
Oh,
you.
is it?
Behind.
Yeah, we're here. This is Laura Brandenburg, owner of the property. It took a while for us to purchase the property is all. We didn't purchase it till end of March. And then we've been working with the builder and the architect. And we have the final plans from the architect. Those just got finished. And Mason Rusk is here and he has those,
Okay.
our builder.
So within a couple months, we should have
Yes.
the permit pulled? All right.
Yes, we'd like to do that.
Okay, you guys got any questions?
Nope.
No? I just do this as a all in favor vote too?
You can, essentially, you guys have already found that it met the requirements for the variance. This is just giving them more time to get the permits. So yeah, there's nobody on Zoom, so if you want to, you can do just all in favor vote.
A motion, or an all-in-favor vote for a 6-month extension on 17731 Bull Road.
Yes.
No
Alright.
first or second?
Well, it's already been voted on, right?
You have to do, somebody has to make the motion, somebody has to
Okay,
second
we do
it.
still have to do it? All
Okay,
right.
But,
Dr. Lauk, I make a motion that we approve the 6-month extension.
But yeah, you don't need a roll call vote.
Lance Rouse, second.
All right, motion and a second, 17731 Beulah Road to give a 6-month extension. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right,
Sorry, Brandy, I didn't mean to
sorry. I think
interrupt you.
that's the first one of those I've had to do.
We don't have them very often. I think you've maybe had one in the last like
Thanks,
5
Mason.
years.
Okay, outside of that, you guys got anything else? Nope, good, all right. Lance,
Lance Rouse, I move we adjourn.
Dr. Lauk, second?
motion, second to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?